And welcome to No Dunks, the original basketball podcast. I'm your host for today, Trey Kirby, and joining me here in the yard, it's Tass Mellis.
What's going on, Trey?
Oh, we got some stuff to talk about. Teams are getting back to their cities. They're showing up at their arenas. They're putting on jerseys. They're putting on shorts. They're talking to the press. They're saying some interesting stuff, and we're going to talk about the most interesting things we've heard from what? I don't know, 6 teams maybe?
Yeah.
Had their media day or something like that.
Mm-hmm. They're talking.
Yeah, so we're gonna hit the up-down report and talk about our favorite stuff that has come out this week. And yeah, chime in on the stream team. Let us know if you're up or down on all these things. Definitely the buzziest story from media day thus far. Zion Williamson. He's looking slim. He is looking skinny.
Yeah, we got that photo. We've got to share it with you if you're here on YouTube.
Yeah, this is a good Zion photo in the red T-shirt, looking cut. There was also the one that the Pelicans put out, just like a glamour shot, basically, of Zion. Looked great in that one as well. Zion said he's been boxing. He's been doing some working out on a football field and just different random workouts. Said he hasn't felt like this since college. So, Tass, up or down on skinny Zion Williamson?
I can't believe I'm saying this. I am up. I'm buying in. Because this isn't just about him losing weight in the offseason, Trey. This is about a couple things. This is about him getting right during last season. Those comments he was making about those workouts were about when he came back from that hamstring injury, talking to his trainer, getting his trainer working out differently, like you said, on the football field and all that. And it felt good to feel good, as he said.
I like that.
Yeah, it wasn't just about the offseason. This was last year. He played 6 games. He came back and was getting right with his trainer. And then at the end of the year, he's kind of on and off. The Pelicans were just dead. So I think this is about him getting in a different mindset. And it's also about a new leadership in the front office that is going to hold him accountable. I watched every single minute of this press conference, Trey. So none of you had to. I would say Zion Williamson smiled more than he's ever smiled. And a lot of it was because he was talking about Joe Dumars leading that front office and him holding Zion accountable. His first comment about Joe Dumars was, I like Joe.
I like Joe.
I like Joe. And he kept saying he's going to hold me accountable. If I slip up, he'll be right there to make sure I get right back on the path. And you might say, come on, Zion has done this before. But I do think it is a change here. And why can't it happen here when he's 25 years old? This is going to be his 7th year in the NBA, although his only his 6th year playing.
Right.
Can he not change? I mean, going on in that press conference, he was asked about CJ McCollum and how he left, and he gave CJ McCollum a lot of love. And he said, quote, he helped me where I am and all that. And then he said, quote, making this transition easier. Who says making this transition? I found that quote to be
corporate speak.
It is corporate speak. And I do think, though, that finally at some point he's learned to get skinny. And again, I don't think it was July and here he is. Oh yeah, same thing. I think this was a whole year process. He played 6 games. He came back after a while, after months in that year here he was injured. So I don't see him getting injured like that again. Am I doing this a little too early, Trey? What do you think?
Well, I'm with Andrew Williams here in the stream team, who says people are always falling for the Zion stuff and then follows it up by saying, I am people. Guess what? We're people too. I'll take the Fell For It award for skinny Zion. He looks great.
He does.
I don't know if the Pelicans are going to be good this season. They got a really weird mix of players. They obviously did the Derek Queen trade. They drafted Jeremiah Fears in the first round as well. Traded for Jordan Poole. A lot has been happening. So I don't know if they're going to be a good team, but I'm bullish on Zion. I think he's going to play a lot. It kind of tends to go play very few games, then play 60 games, then play very few games, then play 60 games. I don't know if this is going to happen, but Zion has played more than 30 games in a season twice in those 6 seasons he's played. Obviously, he missed an entire season as well. I'll go out on a limb I think this is going to be the third season of Zion Williamson's career that he plays at least 60 games. So if I'm looking like a fool when he goes down with a hamstring injury in the middle of December, so be it. I'm rooting for the guy. When he's on the court, he's an awesome player to watch. And he looks the most fit he ever has. If you're going to compare it to his media day look last year, it's like the guy grew cheekbones over the year. It does sound like he's been working for quite some time. And like I said, I did love that quote. It feels good to feel good. That's so
right.
So hopefully Zion is a real thing. He is easy to talk yourself into this guy.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And that Pels trainer gave him some workouts where it's not just, oh, come in and lift, man, come in and run. And it's not just being on a football field. He called them sort of these different workouts, like it's just making working out more interesting. And we all know how it is. I mean, it's just a little more fun. And I don't know how it is to work out for Zion. I know there's guys like Jeff Teague, great podcast. He went out and said, "Come on, man, you're trying now." And he said, like, I'm just not a fan of the guy anymore. See, yeah. I do think Zion just developed a different way of working out again last season. I think that's important. That was literally in November, December, January, February. So this isn't just like the standard summer thing. This isn't hashtag NBA offseason. I do think this is a thing that's developed over some time. And again, he is 25. It's not like he's super old. And this is just me being naive, but I just don't think he'll get injured again. As you said, those numbers there of how many games he's played, I'm buying it. And I mean, he used the Joe Dumars quote, "Talent is natural, greatness is every day." Now, okay, it's just a quote, but is at some point Zion Williamson going to be a different guy to lead this team? And that's kind of what he is saying Joe Dumars is asking of him, and he's going to do it. And we shall see. It is an interesting roster. You're totally right about that. He did say stuff like, this is going to be a big year for Trey Murphy. So there are guys that are just getting into their prime. and so it feels like if those guys are all decent, even when it was 2 years ago when Zion played 70 games, that team was freaking good. Why can't they get back there again? It wasn't that long ago when Zion played 70 games. I mean, yeah, he just had that one crappy year last year when he learned workouts are fun. So here we are one more time.
Yeah, I guess he's been rehabbing injuries so often that he knows all the different ways you can do it. A little distressing, though, that he didn't mention playing basketball at all. I think that might be something he would want to be doing, mixing in with his training regimen, but maybe that one is just a given. The other question I had was, what do you think of the goatee the guy was rocking?
Oh, yeah. That I feel like received the most ridicule of anything, right? Like, you're 25.
Like, whoa, you look like an evil twin.
Yeah. And I guess not. We'll get into how old an NBA player has to be called Unc.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, we'll get into that later. That's what an Unc would have on his face, right?
Yeah, that's a young guy to have a goatee like that. When's the last time you had a goatee? Just a straight up goatee, not a beard.
Since when I was Zion Williamson's age, like 25.
Yeah, that's when you want to do it. I kind of feel like they're having a bit of a media day moment. You know, Devin Booker's rocking a goatee right now. Wow. Franz Wagner has a goatee look as well.
You're going to pull it back?
No. I mean, I look old enough with all the gray hairs on my face. I need to keep the side parts of my beard because that's like the only part that's actually dark still. If I went for a goatee, I would just look like I don't know, one of the Three Musketeers or something like that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I hear you on the too many grays. I'm with you.
I'm not ready to jump into the goatee pool yet, but I'm glad to see some guys are bringing it back. Moving on, Jayson Tatum went on First Take this week when he was asked by Stephen A about all the different changes for the Celtics this season. He responded, first of all, I haven't said I'm not playing this season. Yeah. Tatum also said he's not rushing back, but also that he doesn't rehab 6 days a week for nothing. So, Tass, are you up or down on Jayson Tatum coming back to the Celtics this season?
I got to say, I'm down. I want him to take his time. I I don't know how long he's going to take, but just evaluating from here, it's an Achilles. It's super duper serious when it comes to NBA injuries. It was in May, and there's a big range for when guys come back. Are you going to be like a Kobe, come back after 8 months, which would put you in January, or are you going to be more like a Durant, which was 18 months? And I think the smartest thing to do, again, not a doctor, don't know how he's recovering. He says he's recovering very well. Brad Stevens said in July he's way ahead of schedule. I would say, in comparison, you'd want to sit out as much of the season as you can. 10 months will put you at March, and you're not going to come back and be incredible March, April, and into the playoffs. These are all numbers, but I would say, like, looking at those guys that I mentioned, Kobe and Kevin Durant, I think we saw what happened with Kevin Durant, like leading into that injury. He came back from his injury. It was early before he tore his Achilles. Then he tears the Achilles. With Kobe, he wasn't the same after he came back, even after those 8 months, because he was tough as hell and he was able to recover, but he just wasn't the same afterwards. So to me, it feels like with this roster, dropping Drew, dropping Kristaps Porzingis, doesn't seem like they are going to be, even with Jayson Tatum back, a favorite in the Eastern Conference. It doesn't all add up for me. I think he should sit out the entire year, really.
Yeah, I think the big question is, like, how good are the Celtics going to be? Because they won't have three of their starters from the beginning of last season. Horford is likely moving on, still hasn't signed a deal, but by all accounts, he's going to end up on the Golden State Warriors. So to me, then the question becomes, like, what does the Celtics season need to look like for Jayson Tatum to want to return? Like, does it make sense for him to come back in March when they're like a 500 team trying to scrape into the top 6 or at least secure a play-in spot? I don't know, but he also probably doesn't want to be out for an entire year. Maybe it's similar to when Paul George was coming back from a broken leg with the Pacers. I think it was 2014-15. He only played like the last 6 games of the season for Indiana. They didn't make the playoffs, but he came back just to be like, okay, I've got some NBA basketball underneath my belt. Now I'll be ready for the next season. I wonder if that happens. The Kobe piece is interesting, though, Tass. Jayson Tatum is like a Kobe Bryant acolyte. So if he was able to come back in 8 months, you know that's got to be something on Tatum's calendar saying, hey, if Kobe could do it, maybe I could do it. I've heard Simmons talking on his podcast quite a bit about how quickly Tatum had his surgery. And I think we heard the doctor say he's got the strongest calf in the history of Achilles injuries. Simmons mentioned that perhaps Tatum would be looking to return around his birthday, which is March 3rd. The Celtics do have a home game against the Charlotte Hornets on March 4th. It's a pretty nice landing spot if you're coming back from an injury. So when it happened, I thought for sure this guy's going to be out for the entirety of the 25-26 season. But it feels like there's a chance he comes back at some point this year. I don't necessarily think it's the smartest move long-term, but these guys, if they feel like they're healthy enough, they're going to want to play.
I'm with you. I hope he does take his research of Kobe into serious consideration, because Kobe came back at 8 months and he toughed it out. And then he played 6 games and he got injured again. I think he broke a fibula and he was out for the rest of the season with the Lakers, and he just wasn't quite the same. So here we are. I think he's young enough. The Celtics aren't going to be good enough. I don't know. Maybe medicine is advanced enough that he comes back super duper early. But this is literally, it's an Achilles thing. It's going to be Jaylen Brown's team to carry here, and we'll see what him and Pritchard and Derek White can do, because those are the guys that it's going to be on for month after month after month in an Eastern Conference where they have the ability to win plenty of games, because those are really good players, but it is going to be a different team.
Yeah, definitely going to be a different team. And, we'll see what's happening at the trade deadline. Like, Derek White is a guy who's been mentioned as a possible trade candidate for the Houston Rockets. Jaylen Brown, he's got a gigantic contract. I think he's a Celtics mainstay, but who knows? We'll see how the first half of the season goes. They will make their determination on what they feel like their ceiling is for this season around the trade deadline, and surely that will influence the Tatum return as well. But I'm sure whenever he comes back, he's going to want to be as healthy as possible, because the Kobe factor 8 months is quick to come back, but then getting hurt again, then it's like you're missing 2 whole seasons. Bummer stuff. Kenny Atkinson, he got the Evan Mobley hype train rolling this week, saying he's noticed how much stronger Evan Mobley has gotten and that you can sense he's going to make another jump. Atkinson continued to say, I think he's ready to take the next step. So Tass, you up or down on Evan Mobley taking the next step? And what is that step?
I am up on that, because if the Cavs want to make the NBA Finals, it's going to take 2 things. It's going to take Evan Mobley evolving, and it's going to take Kenny Atkinson using him more, because Atkinson didn't use him enough in fourth quarter close game situations, which is fine in the regular season. We saw with the Cavs. They destroyed everybody, but they were not ready in the playoffs in close game situations, and teams could plan for them. It is wild. Looking back, in clutch situations in the regular season, the usage percentages for the Cavs' main players were Donovan Mitchell, 37.7%. He got used a lot. Darius Garland, 28%. Extremely high. And then Evan Mobley, 11.9%. Super low. He just wasn't utilized. This team could be easily planned for in the playoffs. I will say, positive here. Kenny Atkinson last year on Media Day said we're going to get him more involved. And he did get Mobley more involved. Last year he said, Media Day, he said, we're going to have him bring the ball up off the board in transition. He's going to be a ball handler in 5-out situations. We're going to have him running pick and rolls. He's a modern day player. And they used him way more. His usage percentage was 22.6% during the regular season. Very solid stuff. That's why he received most improved player votes last year. Now, it was a big jump from 23-24 to 24-25. He was used more, but they became too predictable. And Kenny Atkinson can see, if we're going to win in the playoffs, if we're going to take that next step, it's got to be using Mobley more. You mentioned the things about his off-season workouts looking stronger. He's running the team camp type things. Apparently he was the guy who was organizing them. So it's positive. It's positive that Kenny has learned to do things differently with the team, and Evan Mobley is ready to grow.
I think you hit on it perfectly. The self-creation is kind of the next step for Evan Mobley. The reason he doesn't get the touches in the clutch is because we know Donovan Mitchell can go get his own shot, create a shot for his teammates. Darius Garland, maybe he creates for teammates more so than he goes looking for his own shot, but they're both good with the ball in their hands. Give them the basketball and let's see what they can do. Mobley hasn't necessarily been that kind of a player. He was the biggest post-up player on the Cavs. He did add some bully ball to his game, but not super efficient. So I think he kind of needs like a go-to thing on the offensive end. It was awesome that he added the three-point shot to his game for this last season. I think the next thing will be putting the ball in his hands and letting him be an efficient isolation scorer, efficient second side scorer as well. And I think he's definitely got that in his game. He's still super young. And it's just the next evolution for him is figuring out a way to score with the ball in his hands. And look, everybody can get better at rebounding as well. So I'm interested to see what Evan Mobley looks like, because I think the higher and higher he rises in the pecking order for the Cavs, the better and better it is for them in the short term and in the long term. But man, if this guy's able to take another step, that's pretty scary. The guy was defensive player of the year, second team all NBA, all-star, and first team all defense last year. So there's not a lot more levels to go for Evan Mobley, but if he's able to go to another level, awesome stuff.
Yeah. You got to unleash Evan Mobley. He just has to have the ball in his hands a little bit more. I don't think that really happens or is dependent on Jared Allen moving. I don't think that's the case at all. Allen can be on the bench and Evan Mobley the 5, especially in clutch time situations. I think it's literally just getting him the ball and also making sure he uses it and to score. I mean, he's just super duper talented. And, I mentioned those usage percentages. Like last year, he was 105th in the league. The year before, he was 165th in the league in terms of usage percentage for guys that played 15 minutes or more. So there was a big jump, but 105th player in the league is not enough for this guy. This guy's just
pretty low.
It's too talented. So yes, he needs to be given the keys because the team just becomes too predictable when Donovan's doing it or Garland's doing it. And obviously the loss to the Pacers in the second round definitely was factored by injuries. There's no doubt. Mobley sat out a game and Garland sat out a couple of games. That was a part of it, but also they just became too predictable, and that hurt combined with those injuries.
Yep, another score would definitely make the Cavs even scarier. This one's still unofficial, so just kind of quickly, Mitchell Robinson was spotted wearing a starter's jersey at Knicks practice. Josh Hart was wearing the white jersey. That's the second teamers. He also said, they asked me to come off the bench, I'm requesting a trade. He was joking, but you think the Knicks should start Mitchell Robinson over Josh Hart?
No, I think the Knicks should start Gershon Yabusele over Mitchell Robinson and Josh Hart at times. I think that guy is going to be the guy who plays a lot. 70 games last year played for the Sixers while Mitchell Robinson was hurt. These guys are talking about replacing each other in the starting lineup. Come on. You're not up to date with your Gershon Yabusele news. I do want to add just one thing that Kenny Atkinson said about his players. He said DeAndre Hunter is arguably the best Cav from this past offseason, because he thinks Kenny Atkinson was getting into himself, getting into his own feelings, and basically said, we didn't use DeAndre Hunter enough, or I didn't communicate with him enough. We didn't have sit downs enough after we traded for him at the trade deadline. So there's that to evolve for the Cleveland Cavaliers too. That guy's going to start. He's going to play a ton, I think. Over
DeAndre Hunter.
Yeah, over Max.
I mean, Strus is hurt right now, right?
Yeah. But he made him seem like DeAndre Hunter. Obviously, they got him for the defense. He's bigger than Max Strus, but they just didn't unlock enough of his offensive game. So that'll be something to watch there with that team. I mean, that team that went 64-18 last year. That'll be a fun team to watch.
Yeah, DeAndre Hunter, man. I've been going through these rosters and trying to figure out who I think is going to be the best teams in the league, looking at their players, all this kind of stuff. And DeAndre Hunter is a guy that I'm like, oh, yeah, he's on the Cavs.
Yeah.
Totally forgettable. They made the big move for him at the trade deadline, and he had some good moments for sure. Was more of a bench guy for him last year. But the more you ask from DeAndre Hunter, the more chances you are getting of being disappointed. But I think he's a good player, and there's definitely an opportunity for him now with Strus out. I do think the three-point shooting with the Cavs last year was a huge part of their success. So maybe Strus is able to win that spot back whenever he's healthy. But
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how Kenny gets the most out of DeAndre Hunter going forward. I can't believe you're saying Yabu is going to be starting for the Knicks, though. That's crazy.
I think it was a weird team in that they weren't a good defensive team the entire season, really. And moving Cat to the 4 would help out with a guy who's gritty. Now, Mitchell Robinson can be that guy. He came along in the second half of the season. He didn't play the first half. So, yeah, it could be Mitch, but I don't know. He's got these new legs happening because he gets injured every year.
That's a worry for sure. The more he's playing, the better chance of injury, though. The Knicks were at their best when it was him as the 5 and Towns as the 4. Then they become like a huge lineup, and they still have enough shooting because Towns is such a good outside shooter. Let's stick in New York, have some fun here. Michael Porter Jr. was asked about New York City traffic by the Yes Network. He said he shipped a car out to Brooklyn, but the traffic has been so bad that instead he's spending $200 to $250 a day on Ubers so that he doesn't have to do the driving himself. Tass, are you up or down on spending $250 a day on an Uber?
Big down. I understand parking in New York sounds horrendous, but first of all, they're practicing in Brooklyn. It ain't the same as Manhattan. Very different. Second, you got a car. They're going to give you a parking spot. Why do you need to take an Uber? I really truly understand it. I know parking ain't fun, but when it comes to being an NBA player, they're going to give you a spot, dude. It ain't that bad. like you're going to go from getting dropped off at the front door in an Uber to, yeah, you got to go in your parking deck and walk in. I don't get it. It's Brooklyn. It's not that bad. It's totally fine. It's in Sunset Park, Brooklyn.
Oh, it's time to get live. It's time to represent.
Yeah, it is time to get live. It's time to represent. Michael Porter, drive your car. I think that's how
Well,
the song.
I guess that's the question. It's like you're going to be sitting in traffic regardless, right?
Yeah.
I think Frank Isola was backing him up on this point. He's like, yeah, it's bad having a car in Brooklyn. He didn't like it.
Yeah, he said New
But
York.
if you're
Did he say Brooklyn?
riding,
Did he say New York? I don't. It doesn't really
yeah, I
matter.
don't know. But if you're riding, you can do stuff. If you're riding, if you're driving, you got to be locked in. How's Michael Porter Jr. going to get his tweets off? Going to watch his Instagram videos. If he's in the front seat, it's so much more chill riding in the back seat. You do the math as well. $200 to $250 a day on an Uber. If he does it every single day for a year, that's $91,250. Michael Porter Jr. is making $38 million this year. That's 0.2% of his salary, which means if you were the equivalent of somebody making $100,000, that's $240 a year on Ubers. According to literally one Reddit post that I read, private drivers in New York City make between $80,000 and $120,000. So maybe Michael Porter Jr. is being smart here by taking more and more Ubers.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I was with that at first, but it ain't Manhattan. It ain't the same. I think what happened is he got his car, he drove into Manhattan. Parking in Manhattan is horrendous. It is absolutely
Brutal.
the worst thing. You're going underground into these tight little spots. It's tough. You're bumping some car. I'm sure Michael Porter Jr. would be. Maybe he's already had an accident since he got to Brooklyn. But I was confused. I thought, does he even have his car yet? Like, because he said he got his car towed. But to me, I was like, oh, this is a guy who just doesn't plan all that much. His car's probably just not there. He didn't do it early enough. He doesn't even have his car, so that's why he's taking Ubers. But dude, I don't think it's that tough. This is not Manhattan. This is friggin' Brooklyn. You get to drive in, and it's fun. I think he had one bad experience when he went into Manhattan one day, and now it's forever an Uber guy.
Forever an Uber guy. I just got to agree with Gustavo here in the stream team who says MPJ being a franchise best player is pure comedy. It honestly feels to me like early 2010s Washington Wizards when their like star players were Nick Young and JaVale McGee, and it just felt like everything they did was extra funny because, you work out the math for this Michael Porter Jr. thing, and maybe it makes sense for him. He's not really worried about the money of it,
No.
but we see $250 per day on Uber, and it's kind of like only Michael Porter Jr. would do that. Then they drop the little video of him like putting on his Nets jersey, getting his photo taken for the first time, and the guy's just like cheesing to the max while dribbling. It looks hilarious. We will see how the rest of the season goes for the Brooklyn Nets and MPJ.
Yeah, I do want to see him as a number one guy. We talked about it on our last show. Who is the best player on the Brooklyn Nets? Now, he talked a lot in that press conference. Man, I watched every freaking press conference.
What else is there to do,
Yeah. Well, we got to see if those Toronto Blue Jays can win that division this weekend.
Oh,
looks like they're back. Dalton Varsho getting on top of that high heat yesterday. They got to win that division. Lots of WNBA games. Will the Lynx bounce back tonight? TBD. The Michael Porter Jr. thing, he was basically he kind of implied that his injury and how poorly he played because of that injury got him traded in part because like he just kind of implied like, okay, I wasn't playing to my capabilities. They saw that and they're like, okay, we got to get rid of this guy. So I was like, it's probably the whole season, man. I think it's probably your ability to defend or lack of ability to defend and put it on the floor like Cam Johnson can. But anyway, him as the best player in Brooklyn is full of questions.
I think he mostly got traded because of his gigantic contract. That's the main reason it happened, but that's why he's able to afford these Ubers. I actually kind of think Michael Porter Jr. has become underrated as a player. Yeah. I don't think he should be a number one guy, but like the dude's 6'10", 40% three-point shooter. You don't see that all that often, but he is the number one guy, and he's apparently the number one Uber customer in the New York City area. New old unis alert. The Sixers unveiled their classic edition throwbacks in honor of the 25-year anniversary of the 2001 finals team led by Allen Iverson. These are the black Sixers jerseys with the swooshing basketball across the
Yeah.
front. They look great. They got the court to match. Tass, are you up or down on these Sixers throwbacks?
Oh, big time down. I can't do it. I can't do it, Trey.
You're down.
I am totally, totally down on these. These give me nightmares. These literally, yeah, this is personal here. They were wearing them in 2001 when it looked like Vince Carter was just ascending. It seemed like everything was great. He met Allen Iverson in round 2. They're both dropping 50s. And yeah, Allen Iverson eliminated the Toronto Raptors, which was fine. That was understandable. Yeah, Vince went and graduated before Game 7. All that was cool. That was totally acceptable at that point. Me and my homie Dave Setton and all our friends, we decided, wow, I mean, this is just the beginning. There was the offer going on for season seats for the following season. That's when we jumped in. But literally, that was the only playoff series that Vince Carter won with the Toronto Raptors going into that second round against Allen Iverson. And I just haven't recovered. I mean, I saw these a few weeks ago, and I still haven't recovered. I just don't like seeing them. I mean, this was peak Iverson. This was the MVP season. And so they're cool, but to me, they just bring me back too many flashbacks. Don't like them.
That's something I'd never really considered with throwback jerseys. The classic moments for one team have to be like the worst moments for another fan base. So understandable the Raptors fans will be like, "Oh no, I hate to see these." For everybody else, though, they look awesome. I do wish they had the wider sleeves that they had back in the 2000s when the NBA was trying for like a more street ball look. These were also very shiny. I remember the Sixers having like the shiniest jerseys ever during the Iverson era. I do hope that their players, it doesn't look like it from all the different photos they released, but I think of that team wearing some of the baggiest jerseys in NBA history. Like Iverson probably wore a medium jersey, and in these, it looked like he was wearing a XXX. They were just gigantic. The shorts were so long. These are a lot more fitted for the current Sixers team, but still, they look sweet.
It looks like it's snug on Joel Embiid in the photo we're showing you here. You're right. And yeah. You can see Paul George making his little snarl while pulling out his jersey a little bit. Yeah, you're right. You're right. They aren't as baggy. I mean, everybody's doing it, though. You got to bring it back.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody is doing it right now. There's quite a few classic editions that we will be seeing. We'll talk about another one in a second, but these did get Sixers fans very excited. I think even the photos of Joel Embiid kind of got Sixers fans excited because, you know, if it weren't for Zion and Luka, we'd be saying, hey, look at skinny Joel Embiid. I know people are excited. He hasn't been wearing a knee brace when he practiced, but the day after, these Sixers jerseys were finally unveiled. Shams reported that second-year guard Jared McCain had a torn ligament in his right thumb. He's going to miss the start of the season. These UCL surgeries, the time frame is usually like 4 to 6 weeks for a return. So what do you think about Jared McCain going down with an injury before the season even starts?
Well, did you see the photos of Jared McCain in the throwbacks?
And hitting the weights.
He was literally sitting on a weight bench with a huge barbell behind him that had 2.5 pounders on there. Maybe they're 5 pounders. They're little tiny ones. So people were making fun of him.
Tiny.
Yeah. And then he jumped on, I guess it was his TikTok, lifting tiny weights as a joke, making fun of himself, lifting 8-pounders, those colorful plastic exterior 8-pounders. So he was making fun of that. Then the next day, like he jumped on it, man. I think those videos were up the same day. Then the next day he tears that UCL. So horrible for them. You mentioned Joel Embiid. We'll see how he comes back. Paul George had off-season surgery. He's supposed to be back. This seems to be the start of something negative, but you can sort of be positive for Embiid. Like you said, they've got young guys, but then one goes and gets hurt. So obviously it's terrible to start with here.
Yeah, I think Embiid and Paul George are both supposed to speak at media day for the Sixers today. They haven't really made any sort of appearances since having surgery. They're both coming off knee surgeries, which you don't like that if you're a Sixers fan. And if you're a Sixers fan, you're like, there's no way we have another great player getting injured before the start of the season once again. I wonder how many straight years that's happened where there's been some sort of disruption during media day, during training camp. It was Harden a few years back with his contract disputes, the Embiid stuff last year. I'm sure we can go and look time after time and see these problems with the Sixers. I guess on the good side, they have guard depth. They got Tyrese Maxey, good player, drafted VJ Edgecombe, looks sweet wearing number 77 on these jerseys. They haven't yet signed Quentin Grimes, but it feels like he's still going to be on the team. So I don't think this necessarily changes the prospects for the Sixers to be losing Jared McCain for the first 15 games of the season or something like that. The problem will be is if Embiid isn't ready for the start of the season. Same with Paul George. And if these things continue to pile up like they did for Philadelphia last season. Did you see the news that Kyle Lowry is going to be joining Amazon as an analyst for the NBA season this season?
Oh, is that only the second NBA player in history who've been part of an NBA partner and another NBA media source while they play, like Draymond Green with Turner last year? It feels like there hasn't been anybody else active and having a job. I mean,
it's like Kyle Lowry. We saw Kyle Lowry modeling the Sixers jerseys, and then we saw Kyle Lowry modeling a suit for Amazon. Pretty unusual. Definitely Draymond is the first guy I thought of. I thought maybe the OG, Charles Barkley, started working with Turner inside the NBA while he was still playing. I think he made some appearances, but his first full-time season was definitely the very first season after he retired. But, we had Lowry on the starters on NBA TV in the middle of the season or towards the end of the season, way back in the day. So guys do media appearances quite regularly, but it was weird to see it come across as this guy's like a full-time member of our crew going forward. Makes you realize how elderly Kyle Lowry is in the grand scheme of things.
Respect to Kyle. He's already planning his post-career life. Yeah, he'll be sitting on that chair, no doubt. The first question I'm going to have for him is, when he did an interview in the NBA Finals, he walked into the arena and walked up the stairs without showering. He had a towel around his butt. He was wearing he was wearing it waist down. And it was one of those that had like an elastic waistband on it, so it wasn't going to fall off. But I just wondered, like, as he walked into the arena, he walked up the stairs after sweating. What's he wearing underneath there? Like, I'm just curious. Like, he's got like a tank top on top. He didn't shower. Yeah, that's all I gotta say. I was just curious about that.
You're hoping spandex, but quite likely the answer is nothing.
Yeah, exactly. I was standing behind him, and it's one of those towels that, like, you could see it separate a little bit, obviously. And so, like you said, who knows how far it separates? What I was going to see there. That's my first question for this guy who will be asking questions.
Yeah, I think he'll be pretty good on the broadcast because Lowry has had a super long career, and he's also been kind of like a different player in a lot of spots, right? Like when he was a young guy with the Grizzlies and the Rockets, he was stuck behind other point guards, kind of had a reputation as a guy who beats with coaches. He comes to the Raptors, turns the team around, wins a championship, becomes an all-star, all-NBA player, builds his Hall of Fame case. And now with the Sixers, at the end of his career, he's the vet who's helping out. So he's got a lot of experience and just different perspectives. So I think that'll be pretty interesting. I like the team that Amazon has put around him. And look, pretty good point here by Rap Stallion. CJ McCollum has been with ESPN for years. That's a guy I forget who is doing quite a bit of media. And he was like lining up a media career when he was still in college. It felt like CJ McCollum. So it does happen.
Oh yeah, that is forgettable. How the heck did I forget that? I mean, what was he doing for ESPN. Is he on the games or is he in studio? Why can't I?
I think he's a studio guy, an occasional studio guy.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So,
I got another quick question for Kyle Lowry
yep.
because I heard this on a podcast. This is the offseason, taking all this sort of stuff in. I heard Terrence Ross on his podcast talking about a season when he was with the Toronto Raptors and Andrea Bargnani did an interview in Italian. And then after he left the locker room, nobody knew what he was saying during the press conference, obviously, or the interview, obviously. He left the locker room, then all these publications start releasing what he said, and Bargnani apparently said, like, I'm not happy here. We got to get some better players. Lowry was there that year when apparently the next day, Aaron Gray, of all people, deep on the roster, went up to Andrea Bargnani and said, hey, man, what'd you say to that Italian team? Or the Italian reporter? What's going on here? And Bargnani's like, I tell you, it was taken out of context, blah, 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 blah. And Terrence Ross was like looking left, looking right. He was a rookie. He's looking left, looking right. What is going on here? So I want some more deets on that story, that Aaron Gray versus Andrea Bargnani in the locker room. Would love to hear about that.
Yeah, what you got? Aaron Gray versus Andrea Bargnani. I hope we get a full one-on-one interview, Tass Mellis and Kyle Lowry, because the first two questions you're going to ask him are hilarious. Number one, what was underneath your towel? Number two, what was happening between Andrea Bargnani and Aaron Gray? Nobody else is going to ask him those questions.
What you wearing under that towel? What you got under that towel? Let us know, Kyle.
Yeah, let's hear what's underneath Kyle Lowry's towel. Actually, don't let us know that.
No need to know that.
Back to the uniform department. The Timberwolves are also bringing back some early 2000s looks, going with the Black Trees jersey from the KG era. They got a matching court as well. Tass, you up or down on the Timberwolves throwbacks?
I'm looking at them here in front of me. How could I not be excited about this? Look at that thing. Look at that thing. Yeah, just far less painful moments for me with these jerseys. These are just nice classics. Simple as that. The KG ones, as you said, they go way back to their, way back to their 90s. So yeah, loving them.
Yeah, I think it was Young Masuk who wrote that the Timberwolves last wore these in 2019. They bring them back from time to time, but this is always the one that people want to see from Minnesota. I think ML hit it on the head. This is the best Wolves jersey by far. Vice Rex agrees. I do like the blue and green original look that Minnesota had when they had like Tom Gugliotta as their best player, but these are pretty sweet as well. I was laughing when I was reading Ohm's piece over at ESPN. There's a line in it that says Minnesota first introduced the popular uniform with tree trim and a Timberwolves font that looks similar to the Count Chocula one back in 1996-97. I'd never really thought of these as Count Chocula uniforms, but it's kind of true.
No, I'd never thought of that at all. I totally thought that they'd be just KG jerseys, period.
Yeah.
I guess they weren't there for his rookie year in 95, 96, which is...
he wore those blues back in the day as well.
Yeah, those were when you say blue, man, that was a blue. It was one of those those are bright blues. Listen, here's another weird idea. We had Sam Mitchell wear these when he was a player. He, I assume, still lives in the Georgia area close to us. There was that weird thing that happened when he was on NBA TV. Do you remember he had that bit of a
with Chris Miles?
A little brouhaha on camera while they're doing standard stuff. They're going to a game, they get into this little fight, and then Chris Miles goes to Sam Mitchell's house, and they film him in front of Sam Mitchell's house and saying, look, we're buddies. And Sam Mitchell opens the door and they're shaking hands and stuff. I just want to go to his house. Number one, to see his house, that'd be cool. Second, to ask him about these jerseys. Put it on. Let's have an interview with Sam Mitchell in his jersey, because Sam Mitchell is just great on camera. Period. I wonder what's going to happen with him in NBA TV, as NBA TV looks to be moving offices.
Winding down,
yeah. Winding down definitely in Atlanta, although they should be having new offices and a new studio somewhere else. TBD very, very soon, though. So I don't know, give Sam Mitchell some cam time he deserves. Get him on.
Get Sam on cam. He's got a cutting sense of humor, Tess.
He does.
Yeah, which is why I think the thing with Chris Miles played out the way it did. But I agree with Icy here, who says the Wolves should retire 21 in this season. Kevin Garnett's number hasn't yet been retired by Minnesota, even though he is clearly the greatest player in their franchise history. There was a lot of beef between him and their former owner, Glenn Taylor. So I think now that Mark Lowry and A-Rod have completed their purchase of the team, it would make sense to do that in a season when they're bringing back the KG jerseys.
Absolutely. And Kevin Garnett can come on our show and talk about how he tried to purchase the Minnesota Timberwolves. Yeah. And as you said, had that beef with Glenn Taylor because he was literally trying to be the guy to lead a group to own the Minnesota Timberwolves. So I don't know if he's just bitter in general about not being able to own the squad that he tried to own, because he's just a guy who wears his heart on his sleeve, obviously, and he wanted it so freaking bad. I don't know how painful it is for him to be still a part of the team, but hopefully, the Lowry A-Rod era of this team is definitely different, and they should, yes, put a jersey up there for KG, no doubt.
Get him back in the fold. Everybody would be excited to see that. I don't know if you saw this, Tass. Memphis also brought back some early 2000s era uniforms to celebrate their 25th anniversary of being in Memphis. Definitely less hype around these ones. They're less memorable. Yeah, they're wearing like their black ones that like Pau Gasol wore early in his career. Jason Williams, white chocolate Jason Williams. There's a really good video for their release of this. They brought back Hubie Brown, who was their coach at the time. They filmed in front of the Bass Pro Shops pyramid, which is pretty funny. And I also noticed that Jaren Jackson Jr. seems to be switching his number from 13 to 8. I don't know why.
Really? The first thing that I Googled and saw was Jaren Jackson in his 13 throwback jersey of these jerseys that you're talking about. Right? So I guess they didn't have an 8 printed. Yeah, that sounds like a good video, though. Yeah, you just made me a flashback to Pau Gasol when, that guy was playing in a freaking pyramid. They used to play in that arena that was literally a pyramid, which is now a Bass Pro Shops. Have you ever been there? To the Bass Pro
No, I really need to go there. Yeah, I would love to go to the pyramid. It's just so funny that we've got like one pyramid in the United States and it's a fishing shop. But it must be good. They must have, a lot of these Bass Pro Shops have a tank that has all kinds of different freshwater fish, your bass, your bluegill, your perch. If you've got that much floor space to have an entire pyramid, they better have some funky fish in there. And I would like to see them.
Just a follow-up to fish. Did you see the monsters that Ben Simmons has caught, I think, this summer?
Oh, yeah. He's out there.
Those are big fish. I mean, those are giant.
Yeah, we're talking like 60, 70-pound tunas.
Ooh.
This guy's next career might be deep-sea fisherman, because I don't know what team he's going to end up on. Somebody's going to take a chance on Ben Simmons, right?
Yeah. There was a really good team rumored to be wanting him. Now
the Knicks, didn't he like turn down the Knicks or something like that?
Yeah. Why is that?
Yeah, I don't know.
All right.
Yeah. But we'll see. I don't think he is done getting chances.
No, I don't think so. He's too young for that.
I like this from Rob in the stream team, who says, these are all unis that I remember when I was a teenager. Suddenly feeling very old with the Timberwolves and the Sixers one. That's great, because we're talking about unks. New Pelicans center Kevon Looney was asked at Media Day, what age do you consider unk? And Kevon Looney responded, in an NBA locker room, 34 to 35 is the unk age. So, Tass, are you up or down on 34 to 35 being the start of when you can call somebody unk?
I think that is absolutely correct. Up on that. When it comes to NBA rosters, as Kevon Looney said.
How old is Kevon Looney?
Probably that. Probably
how old do you think he is? How old do you think he is?
34.
He's 29.
It's younger. Yeah.
He's 29 years old, man.
That is incredible.
That's literally why they asked him. They're like, you're not old, but 29 is not old, but they call you Unc. So how old really is Unc? That was hilarious to me. He's one of the biggest like gap between how old you think he is, because he's been around and been a big part of the Warriors, or was a big part of the Warriors for basically the entirety of his career. It felt like he had a good start to his run with the Warriors, then kind of fell out of favor, but then came back as like a franchise legend, and he's still not even 30 years old. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and he looks old. He
looks old.
He doesn't look like a young 29. Yeah, because he came into league at 19, right? He just had
he was a one-year guy.
1 year of college. So, yeah, it feels like he's super old. He also plays, like an old school basketball.
Setting screens, hitting the glass.
Yeah. Zion loves him. I will say he does like
Zion loves him. He's a great teammate to have. I saw Jordan Poole was like, I can't wait to play with him again. I haven't had a good screen in 2 years. In your face, Marvin Bagley. Watch out, Tristan Vucevic. But yeah, I thought that was a pretty funny clip with Looney.
So he must be angry if anybody calls him an Unc. I would automatically think that guys would call him Unc.
Oh, definitely. And I think that's what he was saying was like, look, where I come from, I was the young guy on the team. I'm only 29 years old. I played with Andre Iguodala. He said he was 45 when he played with him. I don't think that's true, but Steph Curry is an Unc to Kevon Looney. Jimmy Butler would be Unc for Kevon Looney as well. You ever been called Unc?
Yeah, no. Never Unc. Uncle, always an uncle.
Uncle Tass, yeah, sure.
Yeah,
I've heard my kids call you that, but they're not doing it as this is a sage older man who I'm trying to get some wisdom from.
Unc feels like that's a pretty accurate number. Maybe because I'm older than 34 or 35, I said this is a great term for a locker room and not for actual life, because I don't want to feel old. But
you don't think
that feels right?
Okay. You don't think Bodivine is right that he's dodging the real answer, which is 30 years old, because he's going to be 30 years old? He could be Unc.
Nah, 30's too young, man.
30's young. I agree. 30 is young. I got called Unc for the first time at a No Dunks live show, the last one we did in Vegas. One of the guys that was there, I think I was talking about the 90s Bulls, and he's like, oh, that's Unc. And that is pretty young. That was literally 30 years ago that the Bulls were doing anything in the NBA.
So that's just a term for old things.
Old head. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, I don't know. I guess in the NBA podcast game, we're probably Unc, Tass. If I'm being honest, We're
the new Uncs.
Yeah, we're Unc.
Yeah, no problem. I got no problem embracing that for sure. Yeah, here we are.
I got two guys on. I'm playing on a men's league team. We had some changeover for our roster due to injuries and people living far away. 2 22-year-olds on my men's league team. I've got an 11-year-old. They are much closer in age to her than they are to me. I was like, whoa.
Do you play against 22-year-olds? Because that would be the painful part, like playing against young guys.
Yeah, I'm definitely the oldest guy in the entire league. I am Unc for my men's league. I'm probably grandpa for my men's league.
So that's great. If you're
playing, I know, I'm actually kind of proud of it. They called some guy on the other team called me Biggins on Tuesday.
Excuse me?
I was like, what? Biggins? I'll take Biggins.
Just because you're a big guy?
Yeah, I'm tall.
No, I know that. Yeah, your position, Biggins. That's a good term.
Biggins.
That's a really good term. Playing with the young guys, that's fun. I mean, the fact you got two new guys, that's cool. Well, it's good for you because they're obviously agile and will never stop moving. But it's when you have to guard somebody that's 22 or 23, and you got to be able to hang left to right, right to left, front to back with somebody that young.
Yeah, exactly right. That's not encouraging. But shout out to Gma here in the stream team who says Biggins is better than Oldens. I do play in a jersey that on the back it says Old Mud. That's what the girls call me as a nickname is Old Mud. So I've been running out there, grayest hair in the entire league, rocking an Old Mud jersey, and literally just playing like Kevon Looney, offensive rebounds, screens, defense, and making layups. So I'm Unc. Maybe I'll go by Unc this year on the show.
Yeah, I guess that's who we are.
We
are the NBA Unc podcasters. Used to call us the OG podcasters to start the show. I guess we can embrace the NBA Uncs. I think we could.
The Unc of the NBA podcasting world. That is us. The Unc of the reality television show. It's No Buffs Survivor season 49. 49 seasons. That's Unc when it comes to television. We recap the show, JD and I, yesterday over on the No Buffs feed. Tass, I know we've sucked you into the world of Survivor. What'd you think of episode 1?
Oh, not to be all mundane like you guys sort of described it. Like, not this. The first episode is never bang, 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 and really gets you in. But I will say though, I think because usually it's just okay. Here, get to know these people, and there's never really a high or low. Yeah. It's not all super exciting. I will say though, the beginning opening cut of a sharp line, like a fun, pithy line from everybody, like, "Hey, I'm winning this thing," or "This is gonna be the easiest $1 million of my life," or something other random like that got me into it. That was fun. That was a good cut, I thought. For
I like that too. I thought the intro was pretty sweet.
Yeah, it was solid, and I mean the cast is picked very well. They got some very solid
quirky crew.
Yeah,
I'm excited. It takes me literally 1 2-hour episode to be like, okay, we are 100% back.
Yeah, man.
So exciting times. What else you got going on this weekend, man? You doing anything exciting?
This weekend, I will be watching for some sports. I'm sure the Bills are going to stay undefeated unless this is their bye week. No, I don't know.
No, they play somebody.
I
don't know who it is.
Next week is the bye week. Going to the art show in the city Danielle wants to go to. I say in the city because I'm outside the city now. It's fun to say in the city. Like Michael Porter Jr. should say the city as New York City. That's what they call it in New York. The art show should be good. I think that's it. What do you got?
I'm gonna go see One Battle After Another today. That new Leonardo DiCaprio movie. People are mentioning WNBA playoffs return tonight. I think we got Game 3 Fever Aces and Mercury Lynx. That should be exciting. And then look, it's the first day of fall, or it's the first week of fall, and that has been accurate for the leaves on my trees. So I'm getting out the leaf blower. I'm going Unc, getting out the leaf blower. But it's that time of year, Tass, when you got to start leaf blowing for months straight, lest they pile up on you.
Yeah, finally, this is the week where, it's finally because it's the week where the leaf blowers are actually doing something. Because here down south, we hear throughout the summer, like, why are you pulling those out to blow?
Yeah, you don't need it yet, but now you do.
Nah, this is the week. Yeah, the change of the colors. Can't wait to go see them. I'm going to Northern Georgia in a couple of weeks.
Hey,
you get close to West Virginia. Oh man, look at those leaves. The colors are gorgeous. It's time.
It is time, and it's time for us to get out of here. So let me introduce you to my nephew, the Clipper Bro.
You heard it here first. Have a great time. Turn up. Love you guys. Awesome.
Thanks for joining us, and remember, No Dunks is the original Unks of NBA podcast.
Embrace the weekend.